Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to Who Am I? The show that asks the question every day: Who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? What is the meaning of my life? What do I do today? What is the meaning of the news, of history, of religion, the meaning of politics and economics? Who are we? What's the point? What's the object of the exercise? What is the reality that I am swimming in? What is this medium that I am swimming in? What is it made of? How does it work? How does it operate? What are the rules upon which it operates? How do I fit into this whole story? Because I am a story. I am a story, and I can spin this story any way I want to. Given the foundational ingredients, I can spin the tale however I want. And how do I want to spin this tale? Are we headed for apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, excuse me. I just, for 1 second, I'm just going to go check my stream. Everything looks healthy. Excellent, excellent. Stream health. Beautiful, beautiful. Nobody's here. That's all right. There might be a reason for this. I don't know. I'm going to go back to the studio, and I'm just going to keep doing this as a video because for the last 2 years, I've been doing it not live stream. And the live streaming aspect of it is kind of throwing me off my game a little bit. But on the other hand, it's a muscle I would like to exercise. This recognition that people might actually be watching. But I don't want that to constantly be interrupting the flow of my riffs and my musings, because that's all I'm doing. And if I am crying into the void right now without a clamor of consciousness on the other side, specifically listening to my words as they spill from my lips, so be it. It will be fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm doing it for myself anyway. For 1 hour a day, I give my pure positive voice a platform to talk about the possibilities, to spin pure positive thought without negative resistance, without the ingredients of yeah, but I don't know how that's going to work because you know how people are, or whatever. None of that. No yeah, but. Just the possibilities. And, you could spend quite a lot of time spinning these, and you could get a lot bigger picture than if you continually, every time you say a positive sentence, it's followed by a yeah, but kind of energy. I think this is the kind of thing that Abraham is trying to tell us about momentum, and the momentum of positivity and the momentum of negativity. And once whatever things you're, man, the more I do this show, it's very interesting. I get to the place where I'm not sure I want to share everything I see anymore. It's like learning the deepest magic and then being like, do I want to just tell everybody the secrets of everything? Well, there's some things that human beings need to understand about ourselves. And if we really did understand how the mechanics of the world around us worked, we would be a lot more successful, a lot less warlike, a lot less competitive. We don't need to be so competitive. We shouldn't be so competitive. We've got it in our head that the paradigm, the ultimate paradigm, is ultimate competition against one another or against, I was going to say nature, but I want to convey wild nature, not just nature. We're not making war against Tafiti. We're making war against, the elements and conquering the spaces and whatever. But you know what? Competition is not the ultimate paradigm. It is a paradigm you can play. And to a point, depending on how powerful you are or how what the rest of the field is doing, it may work out for you for a while, but ultimately competition is not the goal. That's not the one we're really reaching for. The one we're reaching for is the win-win. And we're going to riff about this for about the next 54 minutes or so as we talk about the possibilities for what could be on planet Earth if we but understood our own nature. What kinds of things we could have, what kinds of things we could do. And we're going to start with energy because there's something now, part of me wants to scream, extra, read all about it, shake everybody around me, slap them. Do you understand how we've been lied to about something? And do you understand that we're all hypnotized about this? And they've got us all going along with this paradigm, this mindset that is not true. And I'll tell you which one that is. We believe that it is not possible to pull energy from the field. Somehow our education system has taught us that equates to creating energy out of nothing. And it's not true. It's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true. And part of me wants to push back against that because I recognize that as a reality. I'm air quoting reality in the spaces. I don't want to go to my air quotes. It's too far away from this particular scene. So it's not true. And I was minded of this just the other day because someone directed me to look at a certain someone. It was a YouTube videos. There's a kid, 13, 14, I don't know, invented some kind of device that supposedly creates or pulls energy out of the vacuum or tunes into something and produces ohmage or wattage or ampage or voltage or whatever the heck it is. He's got a device that's outputting an energy source. And I meant to click on something that was directly about that, and instead I clicked on this other one where this guy was, the very first thing he said was, "This is obviously a fake." And the reason he cited that it had to be a fake is because it was against the laws of physics. And I want to tell you, that's what most of us think. That's what most people think is true about the world. That if that you can't have a device that puts out energy. You can't have a device that somehow is creating energy out of nothing. And there is a fixed quantity of energy in the field, and so you can't, zap any more of it into place. Well, but that's where the fallacy is, because that's not what you did. What you did is just the same thing as when they set off the atomic bomb, when they did that one little thing and they released this enormous quantity of energy from the field, from the vacuum, by splitting an atom. They didn't create all that energy. That's not what they did. And nobody ever accuses them of that either. They're not like, oh, well, that's against the laws of physics. You can't do that. But you know what? They did one little thing with a little bit of energy, and they unleashed an enormous quantity of energy. Now you might say, well, that's what they're trying to work on, that clean cold fusion or whatever, clean fusion. Yeah, okay, fine. But all of that is still a paradigm that involves um, large scale energy production in a centralized location and then sold and transferred from the big location through wires and such to the various homes who buy it. And that's what we're doing right now. And you know what? We don't have to do it that way. Did you know that we do not have to do it that way? And when we do it that way, it creates a kind of centralized organizational pattern that we are. It creates us as nation states. It creates us as global entities, as we pull together as a wholeness, as a oneness even. Now, I think that we're going to be able to scatter into our various pods and tribes and kingdoms, and we'll be all right because we're going to be continuously connected by this central nervous system that we have created called the internet. And that's going to keep us connected to one another. There are other things that are keeping us connected: supply chain factors, distribution systems, economic systems at the moment, which create and regulate and flow kinds of currency or energy that allows different people in different locations to offer different streams of value to the collective, where so you can buy into the supply chain, so that if you are a small island out in the middle of, what is this? I don't know what these colors that are happening over here on my, I don't know what they mean. Wait a second, let's see. Does it have to do with proximity to my, yeah, maybe. How about that? No, I don't know. I'm sorry, I've got this light over here on the lower corner of my OBS studio thing, and sometimes it's green, yellow, red. I don't know what's causing that, so I think I'm going to ignore it. I should tape something over it so I can't see it. No, I'll put my water bottle in front of it. There. Back to the pure possibility, back to riffing about who we are and where we're going and the kinds of things that we are denying ourselves because of things like we pretend it's not possible to build devices that will just output the kind of energy that we could plug into, the kind of energy we could plug our air conditioners into and our electric lights into and our solar pumps into and such. Our ovens, and we could do all of that. But we think that we can't because we are taught that that is against the laws of physics, and it most certainly is not against the laws of physics. But like I said, when you have these centralized systems, it creates centralized systems of everything. We have centralized systems of food production and water supply and currency circulation, transportation, communications, our internet systems, all of that. It's collectively us. We are a superorganism, whether we like to think of ourselves as that or not. Now, we are a superorganism, and that is absolutely true. However, we've got to organize the way we think about ourselves as a superorganism, because primarily each individual cell is its own individual person and needs to be its authentic, individual, diverse self. However, I'm going to have lots and lots of howevers today. However, the way an individual goes about safely being one's individual and authentic self is you plug yourself into source energy. And from your plugged in place of being plugged into source energy, you are by definition now standing in the win-win area of the equation. Because your inner being, if you're in touch with your source, if you are holding the hand of your personal, your giant, your inner being, your vibrational cosmic connection, it's like a part of your vibrational cosmic anatomy. When you are in alignment with that, your inner being is in alignment with all other inner beings. It's not a different inner being. It's just your inner being is tethered to you, and everyone else's inner beings are tethered to them, but we are all tethered to source, and we are all extensions of this source energy. And what is this source energy? Well, it's spin. Is what it is. It really, really, really is spin. It is spin. It is spin. I will cry it from the rooftops until the day that I die. It is spin. It is spin. And there's a reason why you think about it literally like that. Why you literally think about it being as spin. Because when you think about it that way, you start realizing, as you think through your mind and you look at the world around you and people organizing different things for different reasons and then spinning out and attaching to other spins, and thinking about just the way we construct our language, how we spin our language, even saying it that way. Oh, I'm going to spin this tale. Ooh, how did you spin that? Or, and when you look around the larger cosmos, you realize there is nothing. There is literally zero anything that you can see that is not spinning. However, what you can't see and what you may not realize is that all of us are spinning and expanding together. Together, you cannot separate yourself from the rest of the field. So, what does this mean? It means play the win-win position. It means don't play it like win-lose, zero-sum, or you will end up with a finite pie and half the field torn and bloody losers. You don't want that. You don't want to create a lot of losers. You want to create lots and lots of winners. And it's been occurring to me, and I can safely say this, in the umbrella of this 60 minutes of pure positive. We are going to the pure positive, and we are not, during any minute of this 60 minutes, will we turn and say, yeah, but the place where we always get it wrong, the win-win. So I'm talking about the win-win equation. How do you play the win-win? Especially for human beings. All human beings need to win. And the two sides that are most commonly left out in the win-win equation, while you're trying to work out how to win or whatever, very often there's two places where you tend to leave. Well, if you leave, how do I say this? I'm not saying that everybody does both of these, but if human beings leave anything out, this is where they leave it out in the win-win equation. The first one is you leave out your enemies winning. You don't want your enemies to win. And the reason you don't want your enemies to win is because the paradigm that they are playing out, you do not want to be successful, because it will perpetuate the negative condition, paradigm, or whatever it is that you're looking at about them that makes you not like them and makes them your enemies. So you don't want them to win because you don't want their paradigm to win. You don't want their structure and their meaning and their identity to win. But how about if you, instead of identifying with them with their outward identity, so don't identify them as Nazis or, whatever it is you've decided that they are, liberals or um, uh, MAGA or whichever side it is, and however you've painted the enemy. You don't want them to win because you disapprove of some of the aspects that they represent in the paradigm that they're playing out. But how about instead if you identified them as the inner self that they are inside, and now what you don't want to win is the paradigm, but you want them to win. So now what you do is you offer a different way. You say, hey, I offer this different understanding of who we are and what game we are playing. And how about we all pivot to the win-win? If you'll get off your win-lose, I'll show you how we all win. How to find a win-win-win-win-win-win so even your enemies win. Now, I know that's hard. That's really hard because in the middle of their, you don't like what they're doing. You still don't like what they're doing. You still don't like a big part of what they're doing, but there's a big part of what they're doing that is incredibly successful. And it would be wise of you to figure out why they are successful. What is it about what they do that is working with the laws of the universe, that is expanding their success level? It's best to know what that is and play with that. Don't take that away from them, but give them another way to win, a win-win. And so I'm going to, during this hour, basically we're talking about the win-win, where I'm not pushing against Jeff Bezos or Donald Trump or anybody. I'm pushing back against ignorance in general. But you know what? We made a big mistake with that man a long time ago. We shouldn't have made fun of him. We should have pulled him into our loving embrace and taught him how to be big and kind and sweet. And all he ever wanted was to be popular, to be rich, to be adored, Yes, he's a buffoon, but there is probably a lot of good things about him. Now I have no idea what he has become, what the momentum that the whole situation has driven the whole world to. I don't know. I mean, we gleefully pass around stories. I'm not saying we anymore because honestly, I have not looked this direction in such a long time. But back when I was part of the resistance, we would gleefully pass around stories about how negative and hateful he was in the background because we thought that was going to be an indication of how he was going to fail. But you know what? I bet you that they could have passed around stories like that about Hitler. Hitler was probably very negative and angry and screaming about that. Not that I'm saying he's Hitler, because he totally isn't. And you know what? That was a problem with Hitler too. This is always a problem with your enemies. You don't want to make them your friends. You want them to suck it. Suck it. But you know what? You want to hang them. You want to pillory them. You want to guillotine them. And every time that we have overthrown the wickedness, instead of embracing it, I don't mean embracing the wickedness. I mean, instead of understanding who the players really are and what's really trying to happen, and seeing ourselves for the whole oneness that we are, as humanity, we really have to do that now. As a superorganism, we are one supply chain, we are one communications, we are one economic system, we are one nervous system as the internet. We are one, and we are not operating very well as one. We need to be more big systems, excuse me, big systems oriented. Um, like from our overview sense. Now, why do I make this show, and what was its origin? Excuse me, I got my, I call it my desert toad. It's like a frog in the base of the larynx, and it's not usually a problem, but when I try to talk for an hour straight, this whole show is really just me trying to find my pure positive voice. That place of non-resistance where I know things, where my broader perspective knows things, where I link into my broader perspective, and we all have a broader perspective, and we all could learn how to foster it. And my broader perspective intersects with your broader perspective. Funny that it would do that, but it absolutely does, of course, because from a broader perspective, I am the whole thing from here, and you are the whole thing from over there, iterating the wholeness, reflecting it back. And actually, so who are you? You are a chooser. That's who you are. You are a chooser of your own life, a chooser of your own focus, a chooser of your own desire. What world do you want to live in? What things do you want to experience? What have you learned about how the whole thing works? There are laws of the universe that work as clearly as the laws of physics do. And I want to tell you that over-unity devices are not against the laws of physics. I want to scream it from the rooftops. But let's just muse for the next half hour or so what life could be like on planet Earth if we would collectively, generally, get it through our heads that we are one. We already are one. Whenever you interact with another human being, it is part of your own body. Just think of it that way. If all of us could start thinking of it that way, there is plenty to go around, and we live in a magical abundance-creating machine that if we would quit creating scarcity at the top of our lungs, the abundance would flush back quite quickly. As a matter of fact, the jungle would come back pretty dang quickly. What we need to learn how to do is to magically and joyfully and co-creatively, let's co-create with this beautiful field of abundance, this matrix of abundance that we all are. So what is this thing? Well, it's the field of Plancks. It's the Planck field. And just imagine this roiling sea of Plancks across the universe. Think of it as a plasma. Think of it as the primordial ingredient, the primordial element, the quantum element is the Planck. It's the smallest frequency that you can achieve in this, unless you go down to the sub-Planck, which is another scale of the Planck. But it's a frequency length. How short is it? How short can you get? Well, it's a photon. A photon is not even it doesn't have full substance. It's not a full atom. It's closer to an electron, but it's a packet of light traveling at the speed of light. And if you take that photon and have it go at the speed of light across its own diameter, that's a Planck. And they are so small that at the center of every atom, so the proton is the little packet of mass at the center of every atom, right? This proton, what it actually is a little vortex of this Planck ether spinning. And the Planck field within the center of this proton is reflecting all of the information of all the other protons in all of the rest of the universe. It's like it's a holographic kind of thing. And I bet that at any given Planck instant, in any given iteration of any of the multiverse, it probably reflects it exactly in place, exactly where it is, because the Planck, so through an interference pattern, this Planck field is exchanging all of its information with itself across all the scales. So where I am here is being uploaded to the whole, and then the whole is downloading all of the information of the whole back down to all the parts, meaning I have the information of all the parts through the engine of the whole. It's quite remarkable, actually. And it explains how it is logically, physically, what's the word? Dependably possible that I have an inner being that literally knows everything about everything. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to leave me. But it is in touch with all the universe, and through it, as am I. It's vibrational. We're all in touch vibrational, and through this reverberating energy flow, this spirit that is transferring all of the information across the scales through the Planck field, is informing everything about everything. And so my inner being really does know what I want, does know who I am, does know everything that's going on around me, who's coming around the corner, and how I'm going to feel about that, knows everything. Why am I emphasizing this? Because now, next, I'm going to emphasize pay attention to what your freaking inner being is telling you. Pay attention to your inner guidance system. It is so important. There is nothing more important than listening to this still small voice. And what does she sound like? She sounds like the pure positive side of the equation, because she in her isness is incapable of going to the dark side. She is so busy paying attention to all the isness, the isness with a capital I. The darkness is just a place that your mind can go that can pretend that positive isn't everything. And so you can experience darkness, but other than that, there isn't actually a source of darkness. There is no source of darkness. Quit seeing it that way, because as you see it that way, as you focus that way, as you believe that way, you have a kind of magical way of pulling that sort of reality to yourself. Is that the kind of reality you want to make true? That there is a devil? You aren't going to actually create a source of darkness, but you're going to create an experience that will mimic it to you and those around you playing your game. I don't want to do that. I want to see who you really, 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 really are. And who you really, 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 really are is the positive, because that's the one at the foundation. That's the one that your inner being will put you in touch with. And do you know how you can tell that those other thoughts are not as valid? Because when you think them, they feel like shit. Your stomach falls to your toes, and you're like, you know? When you think those kinds of thoughts about the darkness and your nature and the evil and all that kind of stuff, it feels really bad to think that. And that's how you can tell it's wrong, because it's not going to be in alignment with who you really are unless it feels pretty good. And do you know how I know that? Because your inner being feels really good all the time, because it is in absolute control at the Planck field level. It knows all things. It is God, basically. You are God. But you are only that when you are in alignment with this energy, when you are flowing the frequencies of this pure positive energy that connects us all. That's when you're God. Otherwise, you're static on the peripheral edges, you know, creating conflict and contrast, causing others to know what they really want. So, I mean, nothing's lost. Don't beat yourself up for even the negative you have been. It's okay. It's okay. We're all okay. And we're gonna be okay, especially if we get into better alignment with who we really, really, truly are. And that is this pure positive energy quantum field that surrounds us, that has matrixed us together with one another in this pure positive way. And I would like to help us understand this just a little bit better. So I say all the time, pay attention to how you feel, and pay attention to your inner guidance system. Well, how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, know that. So you're going to be banging around in conditions that you like or don't like. That is a given. I'm going to tell you that one right up front. Sometimes you're going to be in the presence of conditions that you don't like as much, and other times you will be in the presence of conditions that you like more. Now, I'm going to assume that the object of your exercise is to produce more of the one and less of the other. Just in general. Just in general. And then kind of move into more specificity from that position. So how does one do that? How does one do that? Well, it all has to do with understanding who you are and how your mechanism works. You are two lenses of focus. You are two apertures of focus. You are not just one. Now, the one is the one that you most obviously have physical control over. That's your conventional physical mind. The one that when I say, hey, look over here, that's the one that, kind of jerks that direction. That's the you. Sometimes some people think that that's all they are. And when that one winks out, you're gone. Well, that's not true. You actually are two lenses of focus. And if you're having a hard time banging around in this world, it might be because you are not including the other one, not realizing it is actually one of your apertures of focus. It really is. It is you. It is your broader perspective you. It is your inner being you. It is your vibrational source energy connected win-win you. You are that larger self too. And so now what do you do about that? Because you are not just your larger self, and you can't sacrifice your smaller self for the larger self. You can't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. None of us do that. Diversity is where the secret sauce is going to be. When all of us in our sacred, weird, odd authenticity stand up in our diversity and say, this is me connected to source energy. This is me, this is source me, this is conventional me, standing before you as one. We all do that. We've already started doing that. It is the greatest time that it has ever been to be diverse. In ages past, diversity has not always been celebrated. Uh, um, what's the word for when you coalesce together as a single unit? You become more homogenized, more like each other. That has been celebrated, and the intense diversity of others has been sort of discouraged, you know? But we're in a melting pot of unbelievable proportions right now. And we're bumping up against one another in pretty spectacular ways these days. And we're either going to figure this out, who we are as a collective self, combined with who we are as an individual self, because I'm telling you, you can't subtract one of yourselves for the other. You are both. You are both. And the mistake that we have always done is this one or the other instead of both and the other. And that didn't exactly make sense. Both and the other. What do you mean? Both includes one and the other. It's not either or. It's both and. So who am I? Who am I? And what does anybody want to talk about? That's really what I want to do someday. That's why I want to get this voice going, so that someday I can sit in a auditorium and riff for an hour and then ask the audience, hey guys, what do you guys want to talk about? In the same spirit of this pure positive energy interaction. It looks like I still have no viewers, and so there's some issue that I'm having visibility wise. But as far as stream health wise and how this is connecting to the rest of the field, I think that this is a win. I'm going to call this a win. Everything is great. For some reason, it's not highly visible, because I know that there are millions and millions of people out there on the internet right now surfing around looking for something interesting to talk about, to listen to. And I would be interesting to some people. Not a million people. I don't even need a million people. There's not a big crowd at the leading edge. So, anyway, I'm going to call that a victory. And in the spirit of back when I used to do this just as a video, I'll just keep it going that way. So, who am I? Who am I? Let's riff some more. Oh, you know, I got to thinking about why I even do this show. There's so many reasons. First of all, you have to bring yourself into the field of action. You can't just think about you can't just let that positive voice run in the back of your head. That's not action. You got to bring it into the field of action, or nothing happened in reality, because in that non-physical space, that's who you really are, and that's where you really are all the time. And so when you're hearing that pure positive voice, you know, in the back of your head, that's you. That's you. That's where you are. That's who you are. And until you bring it into the field of action, you haven't really done anything. You know, you're still in that other place, which is non-physical. You're actually a non-physical being, dreaming that you're having a physical experience. But if all that you do is just sit there and just think about it without bringing it into the field of action, then you haven't really done anything. You haven't done anything to make the world a better place because of all these positive possibilities that you can imagine, you know? So that's one reason. Another one is so I have some people around me that at different times have been misunderstanding of who I am and what my intention is, generally in life. And my intention, I want to shout it from the rooftops for an hour a day and all day long for the rest of the day. All I want is peace, abundance, beauty, fun, clarity, relationship, freedom, and joy. And I do not give a flying crap how we get there. Well, I mean, I care in the sense that I'm not one of those that thinks the end justifies the means. That's the whore of Babylon, whispering in your ear, the deceiver. The come this way, it's the easier way. It's the cut these corners and but there is no shortcut. The only way to go, and the easiest way to go, is just be your authentic self from the beginning. So, where was I exactly? I was on a perfect thought. I am talking about who we are as our two selves. You are a source energy, broader perspective, pure positive aspect of you. That's who you really are. That's who all of us really are. And if you could train your eyes to see it that way, quit seeing the monster in front of you. When the abuser is standing in front of you, quit seeing the abuser. Quit seeing the monster. He's not a monster. See and the reason I'm saying this, see the man behind the curtain. See the what's actually behind it. See the reality of the real person behind it, and you will disarm the monster. I'm not saying that the monster, yeah, he's a real monster and he's going to get you. And I'm telling you how to make him safe. I'm not trying to get you to give him a pass or to allow such behavior to continue. I'm talking about the secret way to disarm the monster. And we're going to have to talk about that a lot more because I'm sure that there are so many ways you could have misunderstood what I meant. Let's just back it up to where we have recognized that you are two selves. You absolutely are two selves. And one of you I don't know. I'm going to have to get my daughter in on this because for some reason people can't see me. Or there's something about my description is delightful and maybe they aren't seeing my description anymore, or maybe they can't see this wonderful campfire that I have set up along the side of the riverbank here, where I'm just sitting by this campfire and I am just riffing about the universe, and I know that there are people who would love to come into this campfire with me and chat with me about the possibilities. It would be so much fun, and I would love it if the universe would bring me somebody. Maybe not today. It would probably throw me off today. But in general, that's what I want. I know, I was talking about all of the things that I want in this world. I want transportation systems that work safely and dependably and that interconnect and interlock with the transportation systems of all of us all over the planet. I would like efficient communication systems. I would like uh, mm, I would like peace on earth, goodwill towards men. I would like an abundant food supply for all of humanity and all the creatures that make up the biosphere of planet Earth. I would like to see restored all the major health systems of the planet, the lungs of the Earth, and the circulation systems of the waters of the Earth, and the climate systems. I would like to see the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, recycled. I would like to see the greening of the deserts, water piped from the oceans, desalinated, and flowed into the desert areas like veins of nourishment. I would like to see human beings recognizing their common humanity, their common divinity. And I would like human beings to understand in general the laws of the universe. And before I completely end the show, which I have about 10 more minutes, I can go through the laws of the universe. The ones as I see them from sources like Seth, Abraham, Bashar, that sort of wisdom teaching, and then flowing down from them. And it's not even really accurate to say it that way because it's not a hierarchy. Each and every one of us has direct access to the direct information. So it's not that these people, they have handed me a dish that is completely foreign from what I've already got going inside of myself. What it is their clarity, their absolute sureness about it allows me to lock on to the signal for a moment myself until I validate the frequency myself and I go, oh, see how that's locking me into the whole field. I can see that is beneficent, beneficial. It's positive. It's something I needn't worry about. That sort of thing. So, what are the laws? Things like, I started them yesterday, and it doesn't matter because I don't think anybody listened, so I can just do it over again. I don't think anybody listened in the studio version either. So, it doesn't really matter. The 5 laws. See, I want to get through the 5 laws from Bashar, and then I want to go through the steps 1, 2, 3 of creation from Abraham. So I don't want to get sidetracked by starting to describe some subset of the 5. So here we go. Number 1, you exist. There is nothing you can do to change that. The dying of your physical entity is not going to change the fact that you exist. You exist, you exist. There is nothing you can do to change that. Number 2, everything is here and now. There is nothing you can do to change that. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow. Yesterday was now when it happened. Tomorrow will be now when it happens. And there is nothing ever, ever, and always and only anything but now, and now includes everything. There is nothing you can do to change that. The one are all, and the all is one. We are one thing, matrixed together by an energy field that is formed and patterned, has particular patterns. Ever heard of something called sacred geometry? There's a reason why they call it sacred geometry. It is the geometry of the matrix, how this energy field that matrixes us together. And this energy field is infinite. That's why when you pull energy from this field, when you extract it from the field, when you tune into it from the field. You are not creating energy out of nothing. The one are all and the all is one. What you put out is what you get back. You are a vibrational entity offering a vibration to the universe, who hears your vibration and is responding to your vibration, not specifically to your thoughts, although your thoughts have a relationship to the frequency of your thoughts. Your thoughts have a frequency, and your broader perspectives thoughts have particular bandwidth of frequency. And your smaller self can pick whatever frequency you want to think about. But your feelings are coming from how well those two points of view are blending. Because those 2 points of view are you. You might be not realizing that you have, whether you are adding it in, whether you are accounting for it or not, you have a broader perspective. And so when you take small, mean little thoughts, the reason they feel so bad is not because that condition is true, and that condition, if it was true, would feel very bad. And so you take it as oh, well, I feel bad. I thought this thought. I'm looking at this thing. It makes me feel really bad. That confirms the truth of it, because if it wasn't true, I wouldn't feel bad. I'm feeling bad because that's a bad condition, and so what I need to do is change that condition. When you've completely misinterpreted the whole thing, line yourself up correctly first. And then what's going to happen is you're going to go past things that are more or less pleasing to you. You may find yourself still, even when you have lined yourself up correctly, you may find yourself in the presence of something that you would not prefer. But when you are lined up with your source, you know exactly what to do about it. When you're lined up with source and you come into the presence of someone who is behaving wickedly or whatever, you may get the correct impulse to do exactly the right thing that disarms the situation, that brings peace back to the situation, that brings wholeness back to the situation. And that's really, really important, you know? And then what'll happen is now you're no longer in the presence of a condition that you don't like anymore. All of a sudden, it is shifted. So your alignment is the key to all of these things. Your alignment is the key to all things. Your recognition that you truly, truly are two perspectives already. This is what you are. This is your design. And you really, really need to take the invisible one into consideration, because it is relentlessly positive in the background, always, always, and always relentlessly positive. You know, I wish I knew what it meant. Does it like me right here? This is where it likes me. Maybe this is what it's telling me. This is optimal right here. If I got too close, would it start going red too? No, I don't know. I had my water bottle in front of it. That's why I haven't been fussing about it for the last hour. It's probably telling me information I need to pay attention to, but I don't know what it means, so it's simply distracting me. So who am I? Who am I, and how does this information help? Oh, I didn't finish. What you put out is what you get back. That was the fourth law from Bashar's 5 laws perspective. The fifth one is everything changes except for the laws. And the reason that is true is because what you're looking at is an energy field made of Planck-sized eeny-weeny units. And when they are when they swirl into a vortex of organization, we call it matter. And when they are roiling in a Dirac sea of uh, just a Planck field that appears to be not organized but roiling, we call it space. But in every case, there is nowhere where there is not this connected Planck field of infinite energy or nearly infinite energy exchanging data and information across all the scales. And that's what you are participating in. That's what you are dancing with. And when you learn how to work with it, you learn where the source of organization is. You learn how to mind the central core, the intention, the mission statement at the center of all organization is the most important thing. It's not just a little side note. It's the organizational force at the center of whatever it is your endeavor is. Whether you are organizing a softball team or a family reunion or a bake sale or a restaurant or a multinational corporation or a government, the organizational core, the founding thought at the center is what makes all the difference. Now, this is one of the reasons why I think there's a lot of hope for America, because our founding documents have quite a lot of really good, pure clarity. Now, how you turn that into reality, that's been a 250 some odd year ongoing project. Is it 50? I think 250 is going to probably come up in 2026. So, anyway, I realize I have gone past an hour, so I don't need to do this any longer today. If you join me later in the video version, thank you, Doug. I love you. I really do. You have been an underappreciated presence in my life, and I would like to appreciate you just a little bit more. Looking forward to spending some time with you in January. Anyway, until tomorrow, I will be back. I'll start over again. We're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about why we do not need to be plugged into the kind of energy that we are plugged into now. Why we could be looking for other ways to do this. There are other ways to do this, and we do not need to be beholden to those who the energy people who control the fossil fuel and all of that stuff. And so we're not going to spend any time pushing back against them. And I want to pillory no one. There is no one I want to hang. There is no one I want to hold responsible. This is all us. This is human beings. We are human beings, and everything that any human being has ever done on this planet, we have done. I have done. And with that, now you have the power to change things, you know? And so we're going to work on it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, until we bring this pure positive vision into reality, where we are zipping about the planet, visiting one another, playing golf, eating each other's food, staying in each other's hotels or Airbnbs, even better, you know, taking your beaver-driven kayak maze. That's a story I'll tell you tomorrow. In any case, until tomorrow, I will be back with my pure positive self for 1 hour of non-resistant musings and ponderings and speculations concerning the future of planet Earth and all of the beings that inhabit her. And so until tomorrow, love you much. Take care, be wise, and as always, may the source be with you.